The Philadelphia Eagles have been turning heads all offseason long, but some of their biggest standouts from minicamp and OTAs might just surprise you, as in addition to guys like Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Carter, and Zach Bond, plenty more guys have shined during the offseason, and that includes several freakishly athletic rookies, a potential day one starter on defense, and so much more. So in this video, I'm going to talk about a few more surprise Eagles who have really impressed during the offseason, so let's get started right now. If there's one thing that's clear about this Eagles team just about a month ahead of training camp, it's that everybody in this organization from top to bottom seems to be locked in on returning to the Super Bowl and winning it once again this season. I mean, that's kind of been the one recurring message coming out of Philadelphia this entire offseason, just being that this team is not satisfied by any means, and they are hungrier than ever to repeat as champions. And the great thing about this is that it's not just talk. I mean, we've seen the Birds take action over the past several months to ensure that they do have the best chance possible to repeat this coming season. And heck, just listen to what tight end Dallas Goddard just said a few days ago on John Clark's Takeoff podcast.
I've been able to talk with many great players, Peyton Manning. We talk about sustained success, and we got his opinion on how to do it multiple times. Hearing Jalen and his conversations with Michael Jordan about his sustained success and be able to do it three-peat, multiple in two different times. But I think as a team, we're all hungry to get back, and we know that it's not just going to be given to us. It's going to be even harder than it was last year because we are defending it. So we just need to find ways to stay hungry, stay fresh, and keep putting the pedal to the metal.
Yeah, so again, based off that, it's pretty clear. This Eagles team is hungry to repeat next season, and despite the fact that it is going to be harder just with the target now being on their backs, they seem willing to do whatever it takes to make that possible. And I also want to give a huge amount of credit to head coach Nick Sirianni, as he's clearly been doing everything in his power during OTAs and minicamp to make sure that this team is locked in and to ensure that there will be no Super Bowl hangover in 2025. Also, a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Turtle Beach. Turtle Beach is a company that sells headsets, controllers, and all sorts of gaming accessories across multiple platforms, and I've actually used one of their Xbox headsets for years now, and I've always been really happy with it, so I was absolutely thrilled when they reached out and offered to send me their wireless Stealth 700 headset, and I gotta say, this thing right here is pretty awesome. Now, the first thing I did was ran a game with our Eagles on Madden, and I immediately noticed how amazing the sound quality is, and the headset's 3D spatial audio feature immerses you right into whatever game you're playing. I mean, take a game like Fortnite, for example, which, to be clear, I absolutely suck at, but at least the 3D audio of the headset gives me an edge by helping me to know where the enemies are coming from. And that's not all, because on top of that, this headset is super comfortable, and with a whopping 80 hours of battery life, that means you can play for hours by yourself or with friends with no issue. Plus, the Stealth 700 headset has a crazy crossplay transmitting feature, meaning you can switch between different consoles with the click of a button, or you can also connect it to your phone as well. I mean, again, guys, I love this headset, so go to turtlebeach.com and use code PHILLYFANS for 10% off your entire order. Again, that's 10% off at turtlebeach.com with promo code PHILLYFANS, and afterwards, please let them know that I sent you, because that really helps support the channel. And again, thank you to Turtle Beach for sponsoring today's video.
The celebration is over. There was a lot that we talked about of handling adversity. Now, it's a little different. You got to handle success. Treat praise like perfume. Sniff it, don't drink it. It's poison.
Yeah, so again, I just think that that's the absolute perfect message. And overall, I think Nick Sirianni just deserves so much credit for what he does for this football team. I mean, I've said it before, but he is just the ultimate leader, motivator, and culture builder. He obviously did a phenomenal job last season getting that Super Bowl team to connect and stay locked in all season. And you're already starting to see little things this offseason of Sirianni just working to reestablish that culture and connection that made the team last year so special. I mean, take something like the Eagles' recent basketball outing, for example. Like, that may seem insignificant, but things like that are just so important because it helps build up the culture, environment, and connection of this team. And that's extremely important when you're trying to win a championship. So just shout out to Sirianni for doing stuff like this. And I think at this point, it's pretty safe to say that that extension that he got earlier this offseason is very well deserved. But speaking of offseason moves, one of the most important ones the Eagles made was to restructure Dallas Goedert's contract and bring him back for one final season. I mean, as I was saying all offseason long, Goddard is extremely important to both the Eagles' pass and run offenses, and with having no viable replacement for him on the roster, losing him could have really hurt. So to get him back was absolutely huge, and so far during this offseason, Goddard has been reminding us just how good and important he truly is, as he has easily been one of the standouts from OTAs and minicamp, and probably their best pass catcher in that time. Given that in the first OTA practice where reporters were present, Goddard had a team-high 5 catches, and in the second one, he was the recipient of a beautiful Jalen Hurts pass that traveled 30-plus yards down the sideline before falling right into Goddard's hands. So, again, you love to hear that Goddard has been impressing during the offseason, but he's not the only one, and Goddard himself actually recently named one of the Birds' most exciting new additions as his biggest standout of the offseason so far.
He's going to have to fit into the rotation somehow. We got a lot of good players on that defensive line, but Ty Robinson, the Nebraska man, he was on my competition team, and I really enjoyed him, and I think he's going to have a chance to have a lot of success.
It's obviously just extremely exciting to hear that Ty Robinson has stood out during the offseason, and Goddard isn't the only Eagle that has been thoroughly impressed by the rookie defensive tackle so far, as let's not forget what superstar DT Jalen Carter said about him just a few weeks ago.
Boy, fire. I ain't gonna lie, he moving good. He a big boy. I seen his highlights before he came, knew what they was talking about, and he here and he working. I think he gonna have a big impact this season.
It's pretty clear that Robinson was one of the best and most impressive performers during OTAs and minicamp, and that only adds more excitement and belief that he could come in right away in his rookie season and make a very real impact. I mean, this is a guy who clearly has all the physical tools to be great, given that he's 6'5", 310 pounds, yet he ran the fastest 40-yard dash of any defensive tackle at the combine. He has a near perfect relative athletic score of 9.91 out of 10, which ranks 18th out of 1,812 defensive tackles since 1987. And he also showed a lot of promise in college, both as a pass rusher and as a run defender. So again, given all that, and the fact that he has been impressing this offseason only adds more excitement and makes me feel like Ty Robinson could very much contribute at the defensive tackle position as a rookie in 2025. And speaking of defensive tackles, I also feel the same way about 2023 7th round pick Moro Ojomo, as now, going into his 3rd year, he seems set to make a massive leap forward this season, given that, 1, obviously, he's set to take on a much bigger role with Milton Williams leaving for New England in free agency, and 2, as I've said probably a million times at this point, he already had the 2nd highest pass rush win rate among defensive tackles last year at 18.2%, so given a bigger role and more experience, one can only imagine that his production is going to shoot through the roof, and it certainly seems like the Eagles have confidence in him too, as it was reported on one day at OTAs that he was getting a ton of first-team reps on the defensive line. So again, it certainly looks like Ojomo's role is going to be much bigger than it was last year, and all signs point to him making the most of it. And the crazy part is, Ojomo and Robinson aren't the only Eagles defensive linemen that I could see having breakout seasons in 2025. I mean, as I've mentioned before, Jalen Hurts is a guy who's impressed in the offseason. He's set to take on a much bigger role this year, and I just see a huge year coming for him just based off what I saw last year and everything I've heard this offseason. And then you also got Azeez Ojulari, who has gotten a ton of first-team reps as well during the offseason so far. And then there's fellow edge rusher Joshua Uche, who Lane Johnson literally mentioned right away as his first thought when asked about standouts at the edge rusher position this offseason. And let's not forget, all these guys are going to benefit greatly from playing alongside somebody like Jalen Carter, which will give them opportunities to go one-on-one pretty much every pass rushing rep. So I'd say just watch out for all these guys to have big years. And I've actually talked more in depth about all this in previous videos, so make sure you guys check those out after this one. But first, getting back to some other standouts from OTAs and minicamp, we gotta talk about a guy who nobody's really been talking about, but also who might just be a day one starter for Philly's defense. And that's second-year linebacker Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Because with Nakobe Dean and Jahad Campbell obviously still both out with injuries, it's been Trot taking the majority of first-team reps at linebacker during the spring, and apparently, he's looked pretty good, even earning the praises of All-Pro linebacker Zach Bond during minicamp.
Yeah, what I've always seen, just a smart, dedicated guy that tries to do the right thing every time. He's super smart, very athletic, and very instinctive when he plays the game.
What stuff you noticed from Trotter?
I think his overall feel for the game, He's already had the instincts, but just being in this scheme for a year, now the two of us, honestly, just feeling way more comfortable at this point than we were last year.
It's definitely great to hear that Trot has been getting more comfortable and that he's been developing and refining his game a bit since last season. And again, with the injuries that the Birds currently have at the linebacker position, Trotter Jr. may very well find himself as a day one starter for this defense. So to hear that he's been impressing this offseason and making the most of his opportunity is definitely a great sign. Moving on though, Trot isn't the only surprise Eagles linebacker who's impressed during this offseason, as their rookie Smael Mondon Jr. out of Georgia has been turning heads as well, as not only did he get a ton of reps out there at linebacker, including some first-team reps during the spring, but Eagles reporter Jimmy Kempski also recently compared the newest Philly dog to former Eagles linebacker and special teamer Oren Burks, saying both are fantastic athletes with similar frames, while also mentioning that Mondon has great length, quickness, and change of direction that makes him a very solid linebacker in pass coverage. And he also suggested that in addition to obviously him being a key special teamer this year, the Eagles could even try Mondon out in specific packages in passing situations to get him out on the field a bit. So, we'll have to wait and see what happens, but Mondon is a guy with all the physical tools. He was very impressive in college, so to hear that he's made some noise at OTAs and minicamp definitely makes me excited about what he can become and how he can contribute this season, even if it is in a very limited role. But now, real briefly here, I do want to mention some other Eagles rookies that have apparently impressed this offseason, those being the new offensive linemen and tackles Myles Hinton and Cameron Williams, along with center/guard Drew Kendall. As according to star tackle Jordan Mailata, all three have really brought it and made their mark during the offseason so far.
I love our rookies. This is a great rookie class, especially in our alignment. They work hard. And I told Myles, I told Cameron, and I told Drew, I said, I don't care if you come for my job. If you're better than me, you're going to be better than me. But I'm going to make it damn hard for you to reach that. But I'm going to bring you along. And boy, that boy is pushing me.
Which one?
Both. All three of them. Drew doesn't even play tackle. I watch him run drills. I'm like, damn, he's good. Damn, he's good.
What do you like about Myles and Cam from a physical standpoint, pushing you?
The effort, the grind. A couple days we had to get on them a little bit. I got them a little bit. Now we're in the second week together, mate. Just the effort they put in the drills, when they make a mistake, they correct it the next day. That is showing that someone is coachable. It's not just the physical side. It's can they learn from their mistakes and can they apply it the next day when we're doing that drill? And mate, Myles and Cam are doing a great job.
While I wouldn't really expect any of these guys to have to play, at least for any sort of extended period of time this season, it's definitely nice to hear that all of them are impressing and giving 100% effort during the offseason, and it's also important that they're bought in and, as Mailata said, have been very coachable as well, because obviously we know what Jeff Stoutland can do when a talented player is bought in and willing to work. So I'm just excited to see how these guys can develop over the years, and overall, it's definitely awesome to see how all these players have been able to stand out in their own way during this offseason, and I'm actually curious to know who's impressed you guys the most during OTAs and minicamp, so give me all your thoughts down in the comments below on that, and also, while you're at it, make sure you guys subscribe and you turn on notifications. That way you don't miss any other Eagles coverage or content coming throughout the rest of this entire offseason, going into training camp, and of course, the start of the 2025 regular season. So again, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of that, and also make sure you guys drop a like down below as well, because it really helps me out a ton. So if we get to at least 500 likes on today's video, that would be greatly appreciated. And also, again, check out Turtle Beach. You can get 10% off using my code, so the link will be down in the description. And also, if you want to watch another Eagles video, you can check this out right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.